go ahead and get this show on the road. Here we go.
Welcome, mortal souls, to Strange Darkness Radio. Within the echoes of our host's haunting voices, terror weaves through the airwaves like a malevolent symphony. I am Benson, your spectral guide, leading you into the uncharted realms of the macabre. Brace yourself for a descent into a paranormal abyss with hosts Bobby Washington, Carolyn Grey, and Amy Tydeman. They traverse through tales that linger in the shadows, spectral apparitions, haunted domains, cryptids, and otherworldly encounters. Embrace the darkness, extinguish the lights, steel your nerves for a bone-chilling night into the heart of the unknown. It's time for Strange Darkness Radio.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh, can you feel it coming in the air tonight?
Welcome back to Strange Darkness Radio. It is now 2025. Ladies, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. Happy to see you guys. How are you?
I am doing amazing. And it's our first recording for the new year. It seems like it's going to be an interesting year, just based upon how things are going thus far. So, yeah. So, any New Year's resolutions from either of you two?
I can't think of any right now. I know I have some, but you put me on the spot, so I'm like, I can't think of any. Do you have any?
Diet is usually a thing. Money, new career paths. The standard, things that people say.
Yeah.
Everything you
Carolyn?
just said, I want to make more money. And I told that to people at work, and they were like, "Oh, are you going to work more?" And I was like, "No. What are you talking about?"
Oh, I thought they were going to say, you're going to get a new job.
Nope. I just want to make more money. I'm going to manifest more money into my life and make more time for the podcast and get in shape. So all the good ones.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I know that Bobby wants me to put more time into the podcast, so I think that is actually my New Year's resolution. I'm going to be working on that, Bobby.
Resolution. Amazing. Nice. Well, I had one that's to get, amazing people on the podcast, to podcast with amazing people, which we will and do have a new host. And I don't have the clap track only because I just flew in from work to do this particular pod. But yes, we do have a new host that's going to be joining the main show. Her name is Vanessa Scaduto. And again, she will be the new host added to the team of us three. And, we still have bonus episodes and all that good stuff, coming back. And, Marley is in the wings, just waiting. So she says, so we'll see. But yes, we have an amazing guest on tonight's show. Carolyn, can you tell us a little bit about our guest? Just a little, very little, because Benson is going to. Yes,
do it? Okay.
Totally do, sir.
Yes. Well, we are so excited to have Marie King. Is that right?
My name is King. Aitchison is married name. Yes.
Okay. Yes, but she
so
does
you go by
Aitchison for her.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have Mary King in my bio.
The last name.
Well, we're so excited to have you on because the three of us are obsessed. We're going to be discussing Dyer Lane tonight. Marie is kind of an expert, and she's written a novel. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But the three of us are obsessed with Dyer Lane, and I actually didn't know that Amy was just as obsessed as me and Bobby. But we were all.
I didn't
know that.
I don't count Amy for anything anymore. Only because every time we mention something, she will say, "Oh, I've already done that. Oh, I've been here. Oh, I've done this."
I know
And
she
we
went to
haven't
Dyer Lane
heard
before any
anything
of
about
us.
it as
Yeah.
on the
Right.
podcast.
It never talks about it. Right.
Well, I thought I told you guys. Yeah, I've been a few times. The first time was in high school, and yeah, it's really, really creepy. And I want to go back at nighttime, actually. So
too.
I think that might be in my plans this year is to go back late at night and check it out again. It's been a long time.
Good luck with that. I'm more afraid of humans than ghosts. But let's go ahead and get into the interview. Here we go.
Greetings, mortals. I am Benson, your spectral guide through the realms of darkness. Tonight we venture into the twisted world of Marie Aitchison's Dyer Lane. A tale that blurs the line between fiction and nightmarish reality. In the quiet suburbs of Northern California lies a road steeped in blood and whispers. Dyer Lane. Named for a pioneer whose restless spirit still lingers, this accursed stretch of asphalt harbors secrets darker than the blackest night. Aitchison, a former nurse turned mistress of horror, has woven a chilling narrative from the very fabric of local lore. Her story draws life from real tragedies that have stained this land. Murders, unexplained phenomena, and the desperate cries of lost souls. As thrill seekers and ghost hunters tempt fate on Dyer Lane, Aitchison's tale serves as a grim reminder. Sometimes the most terrifying stories are those rooted in truth. Her vivid prose blends fact and fiction, leaving readers to question where reality ends and nightmare begins. So, dear listeners, steel your nerves as we embark on this journey. But heed my warning. As you lose yourself in Aitchison's world, you may find that the true horror lies not in her pages, but in the realization that Dyer Lane's darkness is all too real. This is Benson, beckoning you into the shadows. Remember, not all who wander Dyer Lane are lost, but all who enter may never truly leave.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Yay.
Yay.
Sorry, I like Benson. I feel like he and I would be friends. He's really cool.
We all love
And
Benson.
at least narrating the book or certain captions of your writings would be amazing. As you're sitting there writing, and then you hear him in the in the backdrop.
I wish he would narrate my life. Like, I wish I could go through life with Benson saying what I'm doing, because he's the coolest.
Well, thank you, definitely. So tell us about your journey, coming from a medical background to the purveyor of horror stories. Gotta know what's happening in that brain of yours.
So basically, I went through nursing school and I became an RN. Shout out to Sac State nursing school.
Nice.
And I really loved nursing, but I had my first child when I was in nursing school, and then I had my second as a nurse, and then after a while I was like, I think I'm going to take a little break. And then 2020 happened, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to quite go back yet, and then I kind of just didn't go back. So I started writing, and I've always loved horror, so that's kind of where it began, was just 2020 keeping me at home and looking for like a creative outlet, I guess, to kind of express myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you weren't a writer before that point?
No, I was a big reader, and I always liked writing, but I was like, I couldn't make a income with this, or I couldn't do that kind of stuff. And my husband really supported me. He's like, you're a good writer, you should just do it. And he encouraged me a lot, and that support gave me the, I guess, confidence to kind of go ahead and move forward on that path. So yeah,
That's
And
pretty
why-
cool.
yeah, thank
Oh.
you.
Why Dyer Lane? What got you interested in that?
Well, I also live near Dyer Lane, about a little over 10 minutes away, so pretty close.
Yeah.
And I grew up in this area since I was like 5. So all throughout middle school, high school, college, friends and people I knew were always going out there and had stories about it. And it's funny because you can go pretty much anywhere in the Placer County, Sacramento area and mention Dyer Lane. And if people are from around here, they will have stories, maybe firsthand accounts, or even just like my cousin went there, my aunt went there, or my friend went there. So it's like a lot of people have this connection to that spot and stories and experiences from there. And I was like, this is my first novel, so I'm going to write something kind of close to home and something that I feel like I could do justice with. And so I went.
Is that a place that you visited quite a bit before you decided to write your novel?
Ton, but I've heard about it my whole life. And so I actually went for the first time when I started writing the books, and we took some drives down there, and it was unsettling.
Yes.
Did you go like at nighttime or?
We went during the day. And my
kids. You gotta go at nighttime.
No, I really have not gone at night, and I should.
Oh, really? You haven't?
Not at night.
Yeah, it's not the same thing unless you go in the dead of night.
I believe you. There's no lights out there. I could see it being so dark.
Yeah, very, very dark and creepy.
But even during the day, it's creepy. Like, I was looking at the pictures you sent over to us, and even when we've gone there during the day, I've noticed it's like the trees are bending to make like this tunnel, and as you're driving down the road, it's like you're in a horror movie. Like, it's really eerie. Even during the day, it's creepy out there. So I don't blame you for not wanting to go at night.
That canopy of trees is definitely like, it just feels kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Like driving down there, it's just like a feeling, like a sensation that at least I felt when I was down there. But my husband would go with his friends all the time at night, and they would play around, and they had weird stories. And so I just kind of collected different people's stories and then my own personal feelings and what I witnessed when I went there in the day, and drew inspiration from that.
And
So-
has anything creepy ever happened? I know you've got like stories that you've heard from other people, but did anything ever happen while you were out there? Like, do you have any personal encounters?
Lots of dead animals, and then we saw like a big garbage bag of like stripped like guts, like
Yes, that was that. Yeah, you sent that picture. It was
pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I got a picture. It was pretty gross, and I ended up calling the police like non-emergent line and just letting them know, hey, there's a bag of guts on the side of the road, and I don't know what it is. It looks like an animal, and they're like, where's that? And I said, oh, Dyer Lane, and they said, not again.
Not again.
Ah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they obviously, it wasn't like their first rodeo with Dyer Lane. So
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they get called out there a lot.
exactly.
yeah.
So was it the urban legends that really drew you to incorporate that and all the things that you've heard? Is that why you used, Dyer Lane?
Yeah, it was. I've always heard of people going out there getting scratches on their body. It hasn't happened to me, thankfully. But getting scratches, seeing ghost police cars, which is interesting, or seeing a girl in like a 50s or 60s or like a prom dress from a long time ago walking down the street with holding her shoes. Just weird stories. One of my friends, her aunt had gone out there with a bunch of friends, and they were in their car and they put baby powder on the back windshield, and they just kind of like waited, and they swear that something pushed the car and they could see handprints in the powder, stuff like that. And that she's not the only one that says stuff like that. Like other people have reported that in little chat rooms online, or like you'll mention it to your server. I would be at a restaurant and mention, oh yeah, I'm writing a book about Dyer Lane, and she would be like, well, 1 second, let me come back and tell you about my experience. And then they would come back and want to share it. So it was just kind of felt like something ingrained in the community that I could kind of grow off of with my story.
Yeah, I love that you are local and you're writing about a local famous spot. I think that's pretty cool. And I'm kind of curious, do you have other authors? Like, who are your favorite inspirations as far as other authors?
I love Simone St. James. She writes some really cool ghost stories. And then Paul Tremblay is pretty creepy. He writes some pretty creepy stuff. Keelan Patrick Burke is kind of an indie author that's not super known. He's Irish and he lives out here now and he writes a lot of really cool short stories. Obviously, Stephen King is amazing. Everybody's got to mention him at some point because he's done a ton for horror. And then as far as like, I really like A24 movies and I really like just some of the cool horror movies that have been coming out more lately too that explore kind of psychologically and like almost like spiritual type of things in depth. I thought was cool because my Dyer Lane has some possession in it, but it's not quite religious possession. It's more of like an entity and it's more spirit. Like there's no exorcism in it. And I kind of like when I can see that happen in movies or in stories. So I kind of went there with that. So, yeah, some of the new authors are pretty cool that have been coming out.
How long did it take you to write that novel?
About a year. I like to write it and then set it aside for a few months and then come back and edit. So I think it took me about a year to get it out.
And it's a finished novel, right? Like you're not still working on it.
I'll probably go back at some point and re-edit it and republish it eventually. As an indie author, I don't have a big team or publishing house that does that with me, but I think that's one of my New Year's resolutions is to go back and kind of polish it a little more. But yeah, I think it's done. I'd love to do like an origin story with it or even like a sequel with some of like the new development that's being planned for it. Where like the Placer Vineyard development is supposed to be coming out there in the years to come. So
yeah, what is that? It's just a housing development or?
It's supposed to have like 14,000 plus like units, like housing units, residential, and there's commercial stuff that's going to be popping up.
Oh, wow.
Dyer Lane isn't going to be a creepy like one way.
Yeah.
Desolate.
Like a big connecting street eventually. So I'm curious if more stuff's going to happen or if it's going to kind of fizzle out and the urban legends will kind of like go away with some of the modernization since it won't be so eerie.
Yeah, it may not be eerie, but the things that have happened in that area and on those grounds, I think would, seep through like everything does when it comes to whether it's storefronts, whether it's even just, traffic that's moving in that direction. Because that road is really windy and slow, and like you said, no lights. I think there might be one light by the power or the radio tower or something like that. Because we were shooting there when we shot our story on Dyer Lane. But have you always been into horror? Like that is your subject, your thing?
Yeah, I read The Werewolf of Beaver Swamp by R.L. Stine when I was like 7 years old or something, and it was Goosebumps story, and I never looked back. Like it was like my gateway.
You were terrified at 7?
Yeah, and my mom likes it too, so I think we just kind of bonded over that, and so it's always been like a release for me, especially with like when I get anxious and stuff. It's like, well, I'm not a final girl getting hunted by Michael Myers, so like I can deal. Like
not that bad. It could be worse.
You feel like like. Okay, well, there's scarier things that could happen, so.
Yeah, I gotta have you for our Slashers Gauntlet. We do around Halloween where we take 3 of the, various different killers from different movies, and you basically have to survive, but you have to answer like within 15 seconds of what would you do type scenarios.
I would love to be on that. Like, please consider me because that would make me so happy. That'd be so fun.
You'd probably beat all of us. I don't know if we should have her, Bobby.
But as you write, right? And because a lot of people say with writing comes channeling. It comes to where you're possibly tapping into the other side via whether things start to happen to you or whether it's just, I won't say possession because some writers do say they're possessed when they're writing, like something actually, or channeling, I should say. Does that happen to you when you write?
That's so funny that you say that because I don't feel like anybody gets it when I try to like be like, I don't know where this comes from, because my friends will be like, you're so like soft spoken and kind and nice. Like, how do you write these horrific things, like these terrible things? Honestly, I don't know. It just kind of like, it does feel like something else is doing it sometimes. Because I'll just be sitting there and I don't know where it comes from. It just kind of flows. And my characters have a life of their own that just kind of come out of my mind. And I try to make them realistic, but I don't outline. I like to just kind of be like, I have an end goal and I have a beginning, and then I just go. And like they kind of live like on the page. And it does feel weird because it doesn't feel like me. Like my characters aren't representative of myself. They're their own things. So it is very strange feeling.
It's like you're tapping into something, or
because when you're writing, generally when people are writing, it's like writing a letter, right? So you're writing it from a first person perspective, or you have a goal or a topic of what you're writing about. When you're writing a story like a book, you have to have different passages, what that person's outlook is, what the person, the main person, what their story is, just all the interweaving that goes into that is just amazing to me. That authors like yourself can put pen to pad like that. And I do believe a lot of it is channeled along with music. There are a lot of arts that I think people are able to tap into. And I'm not saying that, taking anything away from your talent or your skill set, but, whether it's I don't know, Guardian Angels would write horror. That's interesting. I don't know. But yeah. I think it's
trauma from their lives. I don't know. Like, I really don't know where it comes from, or just my own fears that are like subconscious, even that kind of get distorted, or like people I've known that kind of turn into characters on the page and characters. And I don't know where it comes from, but I love that you brought that up, because I do feel like it isn't like I'm trying to do something a lot of the time when I'm writing, and it just kind of like happens. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah. So, Carolyn, you want to give the Nick reference and see if she's because
I wanted to ask you. Okay. Well, and speaking of possession, so have you ever talked to Nick Perry, or have you heard of him? We had him on our show, and we actually met him out on Dyer Lane, and we interviewed him. But he has a crazy story. He was driving down Dyer Lane, and he thinks that he was followed, or something got in the truck with him and followed him home. And he's had like experiences ever since then that he'll post it online, so you can see the videos. Just crazy things happening at his house. And I haven't seen anything recent, but it seemed like he was it was getting to him, like he was kind of spiraling and just not doing well. But I think now he's doing better. I hope.
Is that since he went to Dyer Lane, all of this stuff happened, or that had already been happening?
No, so he went to Dyer Lane, and I don't remember why, but he just happened to be recording, and then you actually see like a glimpse of this black figure that as he's driving down Dyer Lane.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was saying something flying by his windshield as he passed.
Yeah.
Oh, and then after that is when all of these weird occurrences.
Yep, and you'll see like doors will open, the fridge door opens by itself. He has shadow figures, in his house.
Gosh.
Captured EVPs, and he was kind of telling us some of his experiences when we interviewed him. I think he said that there's been times when he'll be, sitting in the living room with his sister or whatever, and they'll hear voices coming from the back room, and there's no one else in the house. Just really creepy things like that happening. So it'd be interesting if you could get in touch with him if you wanted to get another story for your book. But I was kind of hoping that you had heard of him or met him.
Surprised you haven't.
I mean, that would have been helpful writing it. That's scary. That sounds like poltergeist type of stuff, like something attached. Yeah, that's very scary.
And he moved He moved because it was getting so bad, and it followed him to his new house. So
pretty close to Dyer Lane.
Oh, wow. Okay, so maybe I won't be going out to Dyer Lane this year then.
Multiple times.
Like 2025 is my year. I'm going to stay away.
It was at night too, so.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, I think the cool thing about the whole Dyer Lane thing, Marie, is that you could really just continue to do like a series of books with different characters and different experiences with Dyer Lane. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because like you said, everyone has a story about Dyer Lane, even if it's secondhand. It seems like everyone in Placer or Sacramento has a story.
And there's so many of those urban legends that you could build upon as well. You know, the lady in white, the murder house, that phantom police car, and I think there's one about a slaughterhouse out there. I mean, there's just like so many, and maybe that has something to do with the bag of guts that you saw as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just some psycho.
It's weird. But even when you're like, there's so much trash that people just discard. There's like a burned up car. I think I sent you that picture too. And it's just like, it's just not treated well in general. And then obviously they found bodies dumped there. And so it's just, yeah. Hopefully.
And I wonder why. Oh, sorry, Amy.
It could, it could just be one of those places that has had so much bad stuff that it attracts more bad stuff.
Yeah.
That's why it's interesting about the whole Placer development plans. I really just feel like once they do have all of that built out, I mean, 4,000. What did you say? Like 4,000.
Plus, they have just residential.
Or 14,000. Actually, I think you said right. 14,000.
Yes, I have a note here. 14,000, and then also just there's going to be commercial places as well, and like parks. It's just going to be like a whole development. So
yeah, so I feel like it's not even going to be the same. I feel like the legends are going to die eventually. I know Bobby said, there could be like hauntings in the buildings and homes, and that is possible too. But part of the appeal of Dyer Lane is just how rural it is, how empty and deserted. It's fun. It's scary to go out there, at nighttime and there's nobody out there. And it's just not going to be the same thing when you go out there and there's like all these homes and buildings and lights, because like I can say just, recently me, Bobby and Carolyn, we went out and to the cemetery and it was nighttime, but it just wasn't the same thing because it was dark, but it was still early enough to where there was a lot of lights and a lot of cars going by. And it just...
Wait a minute. Hold on.
What? What?
Too busy talking. I was looking at everything that moved, for the record. I was terrified.
Were you? That is crazy to me. I was not scared.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was not scared once.
Scary.
Yeah, it wasn't the same thing. Like if it was dead of night and it was,
the men are the ones concerned and the women are whatever happens until it happens. Then it's like who can run the fastest? Then you got to stay back and protect. Oh my!
I don't run fast. I will say that maybe you have a point. Just if you need the quiet to like tap into that kind of spirit type of energy, then yeah, I could see the urban legends kind of dying off. But if it were to be like a magnetic place, then in poltergeist activity kind of stuff happens, then maybe the houses will have some like weird things going on. Maybe they won't even finish the development.
That's true too.
Right? They get too spooked and they abandon it.
I would not be building a house on Dyer Lane. That is insane.
On Dyer Lane.
Houses there too. They're like not a ton, but like I'm like, how do you live here?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
I wonder if they're going to get like a good deal on that land, and then I wonder if the prices are going to be affected by, the urban legends or whatever. But I feel like it could go either way. I feel like more traffic and like them building out there could like stir something up, and maybe it'll increase the activity.
More energy.
But then again, maybe.
It's interesting though, because when we were filming, a lot of our monitors were messing up and they were discolored, and we were thinking that something happened to the monitor, but it was the power from the radio tower that was sending in that whole area. So that could be charging that area, because usually they say a lot of entities need people and, energy to manifest and to for things to take place. And so a lot of that could be, the power of that tower, the energy that is putting out in that surrounding area.
Like
So
the source.
yeah, so
Interesting.
that there could be something to that. I don't know if that's in your book as far as that tower, the whole layout
Yeah,
of
what
that.
is that?
That's
Is that still
really great
active?
point, though.
What's that?
Is
I said
that
that's-
tower?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, that it's a good point. I was just wondering if you know what that tower is for, or if you know if it's still active, because like it's kind of
I think it's
standing
an
there,
old
but I don't use it anymore, right? For anything.
It's still active. It was putting out some serious power.
Right. So what is it for, I wonder? Radio?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But so
Well,
you have, go ahead. Mhm.
well, I just want to know. Sorry, Bobby. I don't know if I'm interrupting, but I just want to know what you know about the history or what you discovered during your research. If you could go through the history of it with us.
There's some like dark stuff. I see like the KKK kind of meeting place pop up a ton, which
Yeah.
no one wants to be associated with. So it's like that's dark. And then I see like witches, like a coven would meet there. A gang fight took place there and someone got stabbed and died. Obviously, more recently, a body was found of a woman who had gone missing in Sacramento.
When was
Those
that?
things. Oh, I don't know what year it was. It was pretty recent though, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago,
Yeah.
I would guess. Yeah,
Oh,
she
was that the one that her husband or her boyfriend?
roommate had like said that she was missing, and I can't recall like who had murdered her, but they had wrapped her in a tarp and like dumped her out there, and they had finally found her. And so it's just a weird place. It has like a lot of like darkness and dark historical stories and facts of things that have happened there, that I know of. And then obviously because it's so windy, you hear about a lot of car crashes
Yeah.
and things like that at night. So yeah. And then people who drive down there say that they might get like followed by a car, like trapped, or recently someone said that they had been like followed and a car had stopped them and like hit out their headlight and attacked their car, like a bunch of people. It just like people want to perpetuate it, so they go out. Maybe they're drawn to it to do their crimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty wild. When we're out there recording, Carolyn's recording, I'm doing audio, my buddy is doing video, and these cars slowly start coming, right? Because they're doing nefarious things out, and this is probably around 5 or so. It wasn't dark yet. And then 2 guys drove by. We were by the tower. So a little bit of ways, it's probably like blockwise, there'd probably be 2 blocks as you go around. Where everyone dumps on that corner. They went around that way, and they were where the trees line up, and it looks like a portal. And then we hear like a gunshot. And and so we're like, wow. And we're out there. So that's why I said when it comes to that so far, I'm more afraid of humans than ghosts. Because we don't know if they were just out there testing. Does this firearm you're selling me work? And we don't know what was going on, but stuff like that, happens out
And I
there.
don't remember if it was before, like I got there first, or I don't know why, but you and Amir weren't there yet, or you had gone and done something, but I was still there, and I saw some people come, and they were kind of dumping trash out of a van, and then they went down that tunnel road and turned around and came back and drove by me a couple times, and they just looked like, I'm sure that there's tons of drugs and drug activity out there, and probably some gang activity still, and just all kinds of criminal, dangerous stuff that goes on out there, right? Still to this day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's a sketchy place to be, even if you don't believe the legends and the ghost stories. It's a sketchy place.
Now, as we're saying all this, I live by there. We both live close, and we're in nice neighborhoods. Just for the record, people, we're
not that close.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but it's still literally 10 to 15 minutes away. But yes, we are in a nice area. It just happens that is right on the precipice of the outskirts, and then it goes into a little area that goes into Roseville and all that stuff. But yeah. So, have you ever had any paranormal experience? Especially based upon your skill set and what I'm going to say channel.
I really wish I had had paranormal experiences. My family members have, and like, but I have not. I haven't had like an actual like ghost experience, which I would actually kind of like to have, just, experience it. I haven't. Have you? What have you guys?
I have.
Probably. Yeah. I
Mhm.
listened to your Monterey episode actually earlier, some of it, and I thought that was really cool, the Cannery Row stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm always like, I want to see ghosts. I want to like have something like that. Like,
No, like, what's wrong with me? Why don't they want to talk to me? That's how I
Well,
feel.
yeah, Carolyn's done Ouija boards begging for ghosts to come haunt her, and she still doesn't.
They still won't mess with me.
Actually, now that you say Ouija board, when I was at middle school, my friend and I played with the Ouija board, and her lights went out, but I'm still not convinced like another friend didn't do it.
Okay, now you sound like
it's
Carol.
one
That it
of
wasn't
those types of
related.
things where I'm like,
Yeah.
we played with it a lot, and we'd always be like, can we talk to Martin Luther King Jr.? And then we'd get like Martin Luther King, and we're like, well, not the right one, I don't think. And we're like, wait, who are we talking to? But everyone's hands are on there, and we're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to talk to someone peaceful and good, and I'm like, I don't know if we're channeling the right thing. But
Mhm.
You're like only requesting really good people as ghosts to come and
I know,
talk
huh?
to you. That's a good
good
plan.
ones, only the good ones. But yeah, I'm so much.
That's a good one. So, okay, at least tell me that you're a vivid dreamer.
I do have weird dreams,
Okay.
especially postpartum. I just had a baby 6 months ago, my third, and I feel like I get really, really weird dreams. Maybe because I wake up so often in the night that I can actually like be like, oh, I just had a dream. Yeah, it's weird stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Were you
No,
gonna?
you're good. Nope.
Okay.
Good.
So you have another book, correct? It's called All I Want. Is that your second book, or can you tell us about? Go ahead.
It's like a short story, more like a novella. It's very short. It's only like 50 pages, but I'm gonna make like a little trilogy out of it. But it's a horror story slasher Christmas holiday type of thing. So definitely a seasonal read. It's really good at Christmas time if you're trying to like just fit something short in.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sequel is gonna come out this next year. But it's just like a high school reunion gone really wrong, basically.
Okay, that sounds exciting. That sounds right up my alley, actually. And yeah, I did actually subscribe to you on Instagram as well because I see that you review all kinds of horror books and just like, right up that alley. So that's pretty exciting as well. How long have you been doing that for?
Oh, I've been reviewing for years. Yeah, a long time. I don't even know when I started, but I've been reviewing books for a long time, and I do focus on thrillers. And I actually, if you go on marieaitchison.com, have something called a Thrill Seekers Book Club, and you can get on the complimentary newsletter if you sign up for it, and it just gives you tons of like book options and recommendations and reviews on there, as well as the Instagram, which is Top Shelf Book Reviews. But I also write like short stories that like I'll send out through there too. But yeah, reviewing is so fun. So yeah, those are my spots for those.
So you have a baby in one arm and a book in the other. I mean, because that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're active, and oh gosh, they both dressed up as Ghostface for Halloween, and I'm like, my foot's like it's like scary. I turn the corner of my house and there's like a little face with like a bedazzled ghost face mask. I'm like, oh no, this is scary, you know.
Oh,
But, yeah,
that's
they're
funny.
fun.
So they're as interested in, at this age, paranormal things as well, like stories and
They want
some
to be.
movies.
Yeah, we keep it kid appropriate as
Yeah.
much as we can, but they want to see like clips of this or like or they want to drive down Dyer Lane. Like they went with us, and then
Are you
like,
gonna let
dead
them?
deer in the
Oh,
gun
they went
bag,
with
and I'm
her?
like, don't look. And my husband's like, roll down the window so you can get a better pic without the glare. And there's like bugs. I'm like, no, don't let this. Don't. But
Oh.
yeah, so they're road dogs. They hang. They're good kids. They're fun.
Cool. That's so cool. So what's your next adventure? Will it be to add to Dyer Lane or a whole another book?
So my next book that I'm actively working on is called Through the Doorway, and it takes place actually in Lake Tahoe. So it has a little bit here in like the Placer County area, but then these sisters inherit a house in Lake Tahoe, and they go up there, and it's not a normal house. It's a very creepy house. So it's more of like a haunted house type of situation, but as always, I want to have a twist on the classic. So that's my next one.
So do you like to blend reality with your fiction or your version of what you think, the scenario is or how it plays out? Or do you like to go totally fiction?
Oh gosh. I like to blend some reality. Like I like to blend historical stuff in. I've always had a soft spot for history. So I like to try and find like real things to put in there, but then I kind of go like off the rails at some point, and by the end of the book you're like, what the hell just happened? But I do like to put little like Easter eggs of like factual things in my books for sure.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Carolyn, questions? Your mic is muted, I believe, or I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to know if you could share any tidbits from your Dyer Lane book, or if you could tell us any interviews that you did that stood out to you, or any stories that stood out.
Well, I think like the creepiest thing for me was just hearing about all the people from like whether it be chat rooms or whether it be like friends of mine who have gone there saying they've been scratched. I think that's really creepy that people actually go out there and like end up with like actual scratches on their body, because that seems pretty violent, like aggressive of a spirit, So I think whenever I talk to someone, they say they've gotten scratches when they go out to Dyer Lane, that is pretty unsettling. And I think with my book, I like to blend in a lot of like the ghost police car. And they said something online about this cult of like this demon called Amdusius or something like that with these horns, and they kind of described it. In my book, I never use a name for my entity, but I kind of tried to stay true to what people saw. They said they saw out there.
Yeah.
So you get a little of that in Dyer Lane. And I think people would be surprised about the crystals in Dyer Lane. Like I went a little off the rails with the crystal energy and how people like to use crystals and for healing, but in Dyer Lane it does a little bit of a different energy type of thing. So
wait, can you explain that a little? Like, are there crystals out there naturally, or you're talking? No, don't give your book away. Just
I
crystals.
spoilers, but you know how they say crystals are they have energy and they hold energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's healing energy, and people use it to ward off evil spirits or to ward off different things. And so for me, I'm like, well, all energy is something, right? Even bad energy. So what if crystals could kind of be a place to harbor bad energy? And so I kind of tried to incorporate some of that as like a twist-ish element in the book without giving too much away.
That's interesting, because it's kind of like, if there are certain stones, and if something bad happens, like and it's around limestone, it'll kind of absorb that negative energy or emotions or whatever. So yeah, why couldn't that be with crystals? That's interesting. And they get charged, I think, too. Like certain crystals will get charged by certain types of energy. So interesting theory.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on tonight's episode. And again, tell people where they can get your book, which is pretty much every place, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble. How about your website also? Do you have?
Yeah, so marieaitchison.com, you can get it there. Amazon's probably the best place to get it. It's limited at certain Barnes and Nobles, but they can always order it for you. But marieaitchison.com, Thrill Seekers newsletter is a great place to start if you want reviews. and you want short stories, I have one that I send out, and it's complimentary, and it's called The Shark, that people tend to enjoy. And then Top Shelf Book Reviews is my Instagram handle, where I do a lot of my review posts and share a lot about what I'm working on.
Nice. Well, we definitely can't wait for your next book. And again, to me, it's amazing to have someone from Antelope or Sacramento. I always say Sacramento because, I was here before it all broke off into all these pieces. But having someone in Sacramento like yourself, who's a amazing book writer and into horror, I mean, that's something that's definitely different. And if you go check her out, check out her website, check out her photo, you will never believe that she's into horror. Whatsoever. So funny.
Write kids books, and I'm like, not yet. Maybe one day.
Right.
I can't even imagine the kids book that you would write. Actually, it would probably be good. Anyways, I mean, writing good, but it would be probably some horror spin on it or something.
Maybe a vampire kid book. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
You should write a follow-up after the projects are built, after the or the development, and you should, see what comes out of that and maybe write like a sequel.